In May 2006, a specific mathematical equation redrew the map of the Balkans. On that day, the survival of a sovereign state depended entirely on a calculation printed on a ballot paper. The rules for this vote were unique. Missing a specific percentage target by even a few hundred ballots would bind the population to a union they were attempting to leave. This is a look at how we break down complex geopolitical history into 5-minute explainers. Our focus is May 21, 2006, when Montenegro held a referendum to decide whether to stay in its union with Serbia or become an independent state. This union was the final remnant of the former Yugoslavia. Over the previous decade, that federation had been fracturing into smaller nations, leaving only Serbia and Montenegro as a single political bloc. After years of conflict in the region, the decision to dissolve the remaining state union would be settled through the mechanics of administrative math. The process began with the 2003 Constitutional Charter. This agreement bound the two republics together, but included a 3-year moratorium, meaning neither could attempt to leave until 2006. As that deadline approached, the European Union stepped in to manage the process. Officials worried a narrow or disputed vote could lead to new instability in the Western Balkans. The EU appointed envoy Miroslav Lajčák to negotiate the terms of the vote. His role was to establish a set of rules that would make the result indisputable. Lajčák proposed a specific hurdle of 55% supermajority. A simple majority of 50% plus 1 would not be enough. If 54.9% chose independence, it meant a loss, keeping Montenegro tied to Serbia. By departing from standard majority rule, the EU shifted the burden of proof. This required the pro-independence movement to demonstrate a level of consensus that went significantly beyond a typical democratic win. The pro-independence camp was led by Prime Minister Milo Đukanović. His campaign focused on sovereign history and the argument that independence was the fastest path toward joining Western institutions. They were opposed by a pro-union bloc that wanted to maintain the joint state, highlighting shared cultural and religious ties with Serbia, and receiving significant political backing from Belgrade. On May 21, 2006, the public responded in massive numbers. More than 86% of registered voters went to the polls, one of the highest turnouts in the region's history. As the count began, observers watched the results approach the 55% mark. Both sides were aware that landing in the narrow gap between a majority and the supermajority would leave the country in a legal limbo. The final tally was exact: 55.5% in favor of independence. The pro-independence bloc had cleared the EU's threshold by a margin of only about 2,000 individual votes. That slim margin of 0.5% was the difference between a peaceful separation and a forced political union. Following the confirmation of the results, the Montenegrin parliament issued a formal declaration of independence on June 3rd, officially dissolving the state union. This exit had a major geographic impact on Serbia. By losing Montenegro, Serbia became a landlocked nation, losing its connection to the Adriatic Sea. This change required a revision of trade and defense strategies, as accessing major ports now required crossing an international border. Montenegro's transition to a new state was swift. Because they had met the strict electoral rules set by the EU, they gained rapid international recognition. Within a short period, all 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council recognized the results, and Montenegro was admitted as a member of the international community. The 2006 referendum showed that status issues in the Balkans could be resolved through administrative consensus. By following these strict rules, Montenegro and Serbia completed a separation that relied on a verified count rather than the violence of the 1990s. Subscribe to the channel for more daily 5-minute breakdowns of the events that shaped our world.